Welcome to Becoming the GOAT. This is episode 6, The Cost of Doing Everything Alone. That's the title of the episode. Episode 6, The Cost of Doing Everything Alone. And you know what? I had a little, it's going to be very, very, I have a vision for this episode. And it's like, this is a hot water bottle, by the way. I pulled it out just a minute ago because I was cold. All right, no big story. I'm going to go into this. I've always got a story for something. I'm going to come back to that. Park that for a little bit. We're going to come back to that. It's very important to the episode. But I've always got a story for everything. But I pulled this out and I was just about to start doing the podcast because today I was thinking about things around hyper independence, doing everything alone, how that has, enabled me to be my masculine energy. So I was going to talk around masculine, feminine energy. And then I was like, I'm cold and I'm going to pull my hot water bottle out and have a bit more of a chilled vibe. And then I was like, this also makes me think of something. This makes this bear, it's not a bear, I bought this a little while ago, it's just a hot water bottle. But I was like, this made me think about my inner child. And I was like, what I want to talk about are two things: hyper independence, the cost of doing everything alone, the title, and how I suppose, as a person who has had to solely rely on herself a lot of the time, that has made me very, very independent, do everything by myself. And I suppose in a way it's a superpower, but I wanted to tap into this protection of my inner child. And there's a lot, it sounds very, very wordy and very heavy, and it's not going to be, really. I just want to offload. I just want to get into the pod by offloading for a second. I went to Liverpool again this week, and that's my home, guaranteed, 1,000,000%. I just want to say something. I've also got a peppermint tea. Sometimes I start and stop drinking on camera, and I've just got a bit of a sore throat. So you have to just excuse me if I take the tea every now and again. I hate hearing people drink on camera as well, and it's really annoying. So I will try and keep that. Actually, you know what? Let me just let's pop that down there because it just doesn't make any sense to have it on. Do you know what I mean? I can't stand it. I can't stand hearing myself drink. When I listen back to the podcast, I'll get really irritated with myself. I can hear the mouth sounds and the drink. And anyway. But let's just chat. Go back. I went to Liverpool again, 3rd week in a row. I am going to do a vlog about. It's so funny how life works out. And I started vlogging my trip to Liverpool the first week I went because I had all these plans and all these things were working out. And then it was about me going to a singles event, which wasn't on. I got the date wrong, right? And then, I really vlogged a lot that trip. And then the following week I went back and I vlogged again. And this weekend I went up early, but I didn't really vlog. But I've got a lot to talk about. I've got so much to talk about. And anyway, I have been up there consecutively. I'm going to go up again, and transition myself into moving. I'm going to move to Liverpool. Yep, I am. I'm moving to Liverpool, guys. This is a big announcement. I've been thinking about moving for a while. So when I moved into this place, and I know I moved into this place and I bought stuff, but I put pictures on the walls that you can take down. I bought a bed. I At the time I had to move. I had to move. There was all, a lot of factors, and I had to move quite quickly, and I ended up finding this place. And then the thing is, when I moved from my last place to here, it just made me realise how much I hate living in the south. I hate it. It makes me feel miserable. I feel depressed. Now, we're going to get into this very, very quickly. I am talking today about being hyper independent. I do everything by myself. Obviously I work for myself. I don't work for anybody else. I work for myself. I do social media. I work for myself. I go to the gym. I live on my own. I don't have children. I'm responsible for myself. I'm accountable to myself. All this stuff is very solely on me, myself, and I go on trips away. I do a lot of different things, and everything I do is focused around myself, and the decisions are based solely on me. If I make the wrong decision, it's my fuck up. If I make the right decision, wonderful. But there's nobody else. There's no safety net. There's no one to, catch me. And I mean, when I say no one, I do have friends. I have people that I can talk to. I do have a support network. Not many people, because I believe in quality. I don't need loads and loads of people. I believe you need a couple and you're good to go. So I have a support network. But I mean in terms of life decisions, goals, all of that kind of stuff, and any safety net. Like, let me just zone back a little bit. As in hyper independence, I don't even really have an emergency contact. So if you go to the doctors or you go to the hospital and they're like, who's your emergency contact? That's how alone I don't really have anyone. If I was in the situation in the here and now and I needed to phone someone, I would call my best friend, because I wouldn't really have anyone else. But it made me realise over the last, since moving and just over time, that I am very alone. And although that is very, very good, I have worked through loads of stuff and done loads and changed my life. And actually, I believe that being on my own and being able to do life by myself is a fucking superpower. I met someone at the weekend. We will get onto this because this is how it all sort of came up. I have strength in being independent. I am my own best friend. I am my own support network at the same time. When I am the one, listen, I know when push comes to shove, and I need to do something, I'm going to be the one to get shit done. I don't need to rely on anybody else. I learned through childhood that I couldn't rely on anybody else, because everybody else was either there to set me up to fail, or they wanted to pull me down, or they don't want to help me. So in that, I'm like they're pulling me down, and the only way for me to get out of that is to cut them off, one, and do for myself, two. I was always doing for myself, and what that did is it made me hyper independent. I do everything alone because I can trust myself, and I know that I will not let myself down, right? And I do a lot of stuff. And then what happens in the translation of me, estranged, all that kind of stuff, is I have a very, very solo lifestyle. Socialising I do a little bit, but not that much, because I will choose to go to trips on my own. I'll choose to go to the cinema on my own. I'll go out to eat on my own. I'll do all these things by myself. And I realised that although it, I don't have I can trust myself, and I suppose it feels safe. That's what I was looking for. It feels safe. It's very lonely, and that is the cost. This loneliness that I can feel, this real isolating loneliness. So when you are hyper independent, the cost of being hyper independent and alone can be this crippling isolation. For me, I know that's what it is. It's this crippling isolation. So we talked about, the crippling isolation, but like I said, I just want to pivot back right before I go into where the weekend and how I came to, get to this part of the podcast. And one of the funny things is, before I move on, I just want to talk about this. I shared it on a story the other day, right? And the fact that I film the podcast every Sunday afternoon. So what time is it? 20 past, go Bible, by the way, guys, 20 past 3 on Sunday. And obviously I'll film it and then I'll kind of just edit it a little bit, and then it gets uploaded and it'll be up tomorrow morning. And then I'm like thinking about my structure, my structure of putting stuff together and structuring my content a bit more. And I think maybe I should just film the podcast on a Wednesday or a Thursday, and then I could just think. But this works. And the reason why it works is because over the week, so much stuff can happen to me, and I can have these epiphanies over time that make me get to where I need to get to. And I suppose that all of these epiphanies then feed into the message that I bring every week. So like this cost of being alone only came from an epiphany that happened to me from the weekend where I went out, and then all this stuff had happened. So, a few things. But going back to what I was talking about and the cost of doing everything alone, I felt like there's the reason with being alone. And I know that if you are estranged from your family, or yeah, you're quite lonely, because you could be, you know, we could talk about estrangement, but we could also just talk about being lonely, not having a lot of friends, you know, not really connecting with people. You may have family, you may watch this and have family, but still have an isolation where you feel like you can't connect with people. It feels safer to do things on your own. You don't really trust a lot of people. And the same exact same thing in it. It feels, you know, you are the one to solve your own problems. You are the one you turn to yourself. You're not the one to turn to ask someone else for help. I don't really like to ask people for help. The last time I asked someone for help was my ex-husband. And I remember, and I was talking about it recently, I remember asking him for help. Now you probably think, Nick, that's your ex-husband. Why would you ask your ex-husband for help? Let me just stop you right there. He had asked me for help so many times prior to this. And I just said yes. And we weren't together. Just said yes, 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 yes. The one time I needed help, I asked him. And what did I get? I got screamed at. And you know what it did? It reinforced the message to me. Every time someone does something when you ask for help and they react in a way of not, that's not a yes, it reinforces the message that it's safer to do it by yourself. I remember just when I asked him for help and he screamed at me, I remember doing the thing anyway, doing what I needed to do. I managed to get it done by myself, as I usually would, on my own, and I was successful at doing it. And really, if I'd eliminated the phone call, I wouldn't have been through all the emotional turmoil. But also at the same time, I shouldn't have to eliminate the phone call. It's just I'm choosing to phone the wrong people and I need to find the right ones, right? Because I think what can happen in this safety net of doing everything by myself, oh, I'll do it on my own then, look at the way they're going to react, is it will then stop you from reaching out to anybody. Anybody and everybody gets tarred with the same brush. You can't be trusted. You can't be trusted. You will say no. You're going to reject me. You're not going to be able to do it to the standard. This, that, the third. So then what we do is we do it by ourselves. We become the problem solvers. We become the all-encompassing everything that we need to ourselves. And it can be very, very difficult. It can be really not even just difficult, right? It can just be so draining. It can be so draining to have to pick up the slack. You have not even the slack. You have to pick up every part of your life by yourself. Or I know I do. And it can become very draining. It almost to the point where it would lead me to feeling burnt out. I can't cope, but I have to. I haven't got a choice. And I have this thing where it's like I have a saying of do whatever it takes. I will do whatever it takes to be able to get myself out of situations or make sure my life goes right, or problem solving. I will do whatever it takes to ensure that I work this out for the best possible outcome. And I won't rely on anyone. But again, like I say, in doing that and in always heavily relying on yourself, you learn that other people can't be trusted. Now, I did learn that through childhood, through my family. So it is a message that I do need to unlearn, because one of the things about it, like I say, when I gave the story of asking my husband and my ex-husband saying no and having like just a horrible reaction to me even asking him for help, is what I then need to be very, very conscious of is to not then tar everybody with that brush, because my world just keeps getting smaller and smaller and there's no one left to turn to. Okay. But then if someone does come in who can help me, I've automatically got my guard up, because I'm like, no, you can't help me. You're going to say no. You're going to reject me. It's not safe for me to ask you anything. I need to do it on my own. That's safer. But in that safety of doing it on my own, the cost, I'm alone and I live with this crippling isolation and loneliness. Anyway, I've done a lot of talky. I want to just get into the real time. I went to Liverpool this weekend. Fucking hell. I got taken out twice. So I'm going to be really honest. I went out on 2 dates. It was unexpected. I met a guy. Met this guy, started speaking to this guy, and back and forth some messages. And he said, when you're next in Liverpool, I will show you around because I want to move and all that stuff. And I was just like, I just want to know, the air. I want to know what the actual area is like, not like the central London sort of thing. You want to know North London, East London. You want to know the nitty gritty, right? And he said he'd take me out on a tour, and he picked me up, and he took me out. He drove, and there was something really small in it, right? He drove, and he took me to all these different places, and then we got a little bit of food, and it was wonderful. It was lovely. And I was in the car, and I can't remember the last time someone's driven me somewhere, because I drive everywhere. I'm a driver, one. My friends don't drive, so if I do drive, I pick them up. And then I realised, he was like, right, I'm going to pick you up, I'm going to show you some places, I'm going to take you out, I'm going to take you for food, this. And it was a really nice day where someone else had done something for me, right? We're going to come back to that. That was Thursday. Friday came. I'd just done this. Wonderful. Da-di-da-di-da-di-da. And on the Friday, I decided to go to the gym. I was like, I'm going to also do a recce this weekend of places and find, I got my nails done and, there's a gym there. I can transfer my gym membership from my one to a new one. Bang. So I went to the gym, was at the gym, was doing some stuff, come out of the gym, went to get a little soft drink, sat in the bar area, and I was on TikTok live. I was going live, and then my phone went, and then as I put the phone down, I was still on live, but another guy came up to me, and I was like, oh, hello. Anyway, came up to me and bang, turned the live off, and we were talking, and this guy, his name's Josh. I met Josh. He is very, very confident. I've said this to him. I'm not saying anything I haven't already said to him. And the thing is with Josh is we went out, but we ended up building like a bond of just being able to, I suppose, just talk. And we were talking about like, I suppose, our self-development journeys and this and that. And I believe we were meant to connect for particular reasons, particularly around like social media and things like that. Anyway, I digress. But when we were talking, I was out, like I say, this guy came up to me, he asked me a few questions, and in the middle of us talking, we've been talking for a couple of minutes, not very long, he said, would you like to go out for dinner tonight? We were talking about social media and all this stuff, and he said, let's chat, would you like to go out for dinner? Bang. And I was like, this is very forward. It's very, very, so for me, I'm used to being in the driver's seat of my life, doing. I'm hyper independent. I do this, I do that, I do this, that, the third. I don't need anyone else. I don't ask anyone else. I don't even, like I say on Thursday, I realise I drive everywhere. Not even anyone drives. This guy came to pick me up. It was like, what a relief. What a brain relief. I don't even have to drive. Perfect. Right? Friday, met Josh. Josh said, do you want to go out for dinner? Bang. He said, what do you want to eat? I said, I don't really know. He gave me two options. I chose one. Bang. It was very much like, he said, this is the time. I will meet you here. And it's a very, very small thing, right? Now, these are little things like going out and being picked up and having someone, you go out for dinner and do you want to go out and excuse me, let's do this and let's do that. And the reason why I touched on some of this is because it made me think about, obviously, the man and the woman. And it made me think about masculine and feminine energy, right? And for me, how I live my life and the fact that I have to be so... I come on here on social media and I try to be a leader. I try to be in an authority, and I'm an authority in my own life. And what essentially that means is that I... most of the time, 9 times out of 10, have to be in my masculine energy. I have to make decisions. I have to be quite fierce, controlled, blunt, to the point. I have to go for things. Like, if things are going to happen, I make them fucking happen. I'm going to make them happen. I don't sit back. There's no one else out there who's going to do it. I'm going to do it. And in order to do that, I have to be quite, I feel like it's quite a masculine energy. So anyway, and it's really funny because over the last few weeks, I've been really realizing about just being on my own, myself. I spoke about it a few weeks ago about like everything solo. And what that means in everything solo is just everything is on me all the time. And although it feels safe, it's lonely, man. And the healing journey shouldn't be about that. The healing journey is meant to be about me getting out of my comfort zone, not staying in a zone of safety, and not wanting to branch out because I'm lonely. I need to branch out. So anyway, I go out Friday. I go out Thursday. I go out Friday. And on Friday we were chatting and we were talking, and he was talking about just how he just does stuff, makes decisions and does stuff, and that was very obvious to me anyway. The man came up to me and said, let's go for dinner. About 2 hours later we were at dinner chatting, and we chatted for about 4 hours, and it was just, the conversation just flowed so incredibly well, and we were talking back and forth, and what I realised after, and also from observing some of his content, us talking, is about the fact that he's very much in his masculine energy. And I've always had this thing around masculine men. So I really like men that are masculine. I like provider, protector, leader energy. And the reason I realise that is because I then don't have to be all of that. And I can step back into my feminine energy where I can be soft, where I can let go, where I can connect, where I can be, where it allows me to just take some of the brain power out. And what it naturally does there is we can pour back into ourselves. I can pour back into myself. I'm not making all the decisions. I'm not making every waking decision of every waking moment of every waking day, constant on my journey. Oh, I'm healing, I'm looking deep within, and I'm healing, and I'm letting go of this, and I'm cutting everybody out of my life because it's easier, because they're all so toxic and no one listens to my boundaries. And then I've got to make decisions about trips. Oh, I may as well live life on my own because I'm on a healing journey by myself, and I'll do the trips by myself because no one else is going to take me, and I'm going to do this, and I need to pay these bills, and I need to move, and so I'm going to move to Liverpool, and I'm going to do the, and it's constant. So you're getting stuck in a cycle of that constant make decisions, and then what happens is also in that it becomes a bit like the longer you stay on your own, the easier it is to be on your own, for one, but the safer it feels. And then anything outside of that is out of my comfort zone. So me being out was fucking weird one. It was very, very weird. And I know I'm trying to the way I'm talking about it is I'm just basically saying it allowed me. They were small, they're minuscule things. I went out for dinner, a drive and some food. And then I went out for a dinner with some other guy. And I was just spending time with. Sounds actually, when I say it like that, it sounds, well, I'm not hussy, guys, by the way, but I don't know why I felt the need to say that. I've been doing this thing in therapy before we move forward where one of the reasons about me moving, right, is I have recently been working in therapy around one, all of this stuff, the hyper independence, being alone, feeling really isolated, now trying to let new people in, but also developing my life to suit me. So whatever that looks like, if that looked like, like going out, having time with people, it's like, what sits right in Nick's world? Does that sit right? Yes, it does. So I don't need to justify it and try to, describe myself as, also almost preempt what people are going to think of me and prejudge me, because the decisions I make need to be sat right within me. That's a big part of my journey. If this decision sits well with me, it's fucking fine with me, and it doesn't matter what anybody else thinks. And one of the other things around that is where I choose to live. Like, why do I live where I live right now? Why do I live here anymore? I've got no family here. I moved here for very specific reasons, and now I'm on my own. Why do I live here? Why this place? What about it? how am I looking to live my life? I want a more sociable life. I want a life with a bit more community. I want to meet people and see people. I want to date. So I started going out and things developed. But it's like, where do I see myself? How do I see myself living life? What sits right for me? And these are big parts, like making these decisions. And some of these decisions, I've gone from one side to the other, where I do need to make decisions about my life, Nick's life, how that looks for me, how I'm not complying to anybody else's rules, and all of this stuff, yeah. But in that, what looks right for my life is not to be so fucking alone all the time. I don't want to do all the decisions by myself. I don't want to be an independent woman. Let's just have it right. I don't care what you think of that. I want to be in partnership with someone. And I really, 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 as part of my healing, and I think a part of a lot of people's healings, is we need to learn how to let go of the wrong people, but allow the right people to come in. Yeah? So I've had this hot water, but I take this to bed with me when it's really cold. It's been warm recently, but I've just come in and I think it's because I'm tired, I'm cold, but it's like my bear. It's like my little protection shield. And when I pulled it out, it made me think of my inner child. And the way I live my life today is with the word isolation is the word of the day, guys. There's always the word of the podcast. There's always the word of the podcast, and obviously today's isolation. And as a child, when you grow up without emotional safety, and you don't have like a nurturing family that look after you, you have to learn to depend solely on yourself. And what happens with that dependence, being independent, is that translates through your whole life. And as time's gone on, I was codependent, but I've learned to be very much singular, especially now. I'm singular. I can do everything. I can do everything by myself. I have no problems. I go on holiday I can do everything by myself. Like, I could reel off a list. Doesn't matter. Everything. And it's almost like, because what I had to do is, when I was a child, I didn't know how to obviously gain that safety, apart from being small and not upsetting people, not doing anything out of the ordinary, and all that kind of stuff, people pleasing. And as I've gone on my journey of healing and trying to better myself and self-development, self-empowerment, all of this kind of stuff, my independence has gotten a lot stronger. And I make a lot of decisions, and and like I say, I am in this masculine energy of I get shit done. I get shit done, especially now, as I sit here doing this podcast, and obviously I talk about social media and building my career. I know I get shit done. Let me tell you, I'm going to move hours away from where I live now, right? Easy. I'll be stressed, but I will get shit done. Masculine energy, I'll get shit done. And it's almost like I, as an adult, do that for the protection of my inner child. I will protect my inner child from harm, from rejection. The little girl who couldn't protect herself as a child, who had no protection, no one looked out for her. They bullied her, they scapegoated her. This little girl who had no safety, didn't know how to look after herself, had to just get on with life. And as an adult, as I've grown up and gone through my journey, and as I'm sat here now, I have this get it done mentality. Come on, you're not gonna, you can't even compete with me. You're not gonna beat me. I've got this. I'm untouchable. It's very masculine. It's very fucking harsh. But it's like, there's a harshness that I need, because it's like I want to protect this inner child within me, and I want to look after her and nurture her. But also in that, I can't do the nurturing to myself because I'm so harsh all the time. And one of the things that I realised over the weekend, and now what I'm saying is, actually, I'm not. I was going to say, I don't want to make this about a man. it's not about a man really though. But what I'm saying is, it's in general. My experience is based around the masculine and men, and me just being able to just step back a little bit, knowing that and it may put in very big perspective of that is why I like provider, protector, masculine, alpha, not alpha male Andrew Tate types. Alpha male is in a self-assured, confident man who makes decisions that you can trust the decisions and they will lead you. You don't even have to think because you know that, oh yeah, they make good decisions. Oh, we're going to do this. Yeah. You're safe knowing that the decisions they make are going to benefit you, right? So that's what I'm talking about. But this can be from any perspective. But what I'm saying is, what I learned to protect my inner child. I learned to make decisions to protect the inner child, to keep her safe. So everything I do is to keep my inner child safe all the time. I want to protect her every waking moment of my life because my inner child was never, ever, ever protected. That little girl inside of me was never looked after. She was destroyed, broken, and some days I actually am at a point where I am surprised that I am just still here. So when I think about my childhood and my past and now as an adult, I am the responsible one. I'm responsible. I can do this. I can look after the inner child. I forgot I was trying to find a photo and then I realised I've got one here. I want to look after this Nick. So everything I do based on looking after this child who was never protected in life and who had to just be put through shit. Like I was, when I was a child, I was a binge eater. I ate loads and I was fat. And I say fat, I was bigger because I just ate loads. I ate my feelings. I didn't know what was going on. And I remember being bullied by my own mum about how big I was and all of that kind of stuff. And anyway, as an adult now who looks after herself, I look after Nick, inner child Nick. But one of the things about that is that hyper independence of I need to do everything by myself to look after her is I'm isolated and I'm alone. And I don't think life is meant to be lonely. I don't think we're not meant to walk this earth alone. We're not meant to walk this earth alone. And now I was talking about, the reason why I talk about the masculine and the guys is because I was just like actually talking about directly masculine and feminine, but I'm talking about leaders and that doesn't have to be like a male and female. I mean, you just have like the balance of energies and like someone who can also come in and help you and allow you to step back and not make all the decisions and not having this do it alone energy, right? And I think this week connecting with other people has made me realise, like, it's all right. That's okay. It's all right to allow other people in. It's all right to not want to. And you think, oh, you've analysed all of this from going out, but there's little pockets of things that I never get to do. Oh, I have to make all the decisions. Oh, I have to do everything by myself. Oh, I have to do all of this. And now that doesn't mean. So I'm not saying, girls, go out, or guys, you need a partner. No, I'm using that as my example. I'm not saying I need a partner. The dating's been nice. It's been lovely. It's been wonderful. Just a little. I got taken out twice. I got paid for, food-wise. 2 meals, yeah? We're 2 meals up. Anyway, what I'm saying is connection. And I've spoke about it so much. Connection. How do we connect with others so that it enables us to be able to allow some softness to come in, allow us to maybe offload to someone else to take the pressure off, allow us to have a back and forth so that the decisions can become clearer without being the only one to work it out by yourself. You know, we need that, right? We need community, right? I believe so. Do you? I have been focused on building a community. A community of like-minded souls. Now, I'm not saying that this community is, based on the masculine and feminine. It's not. But that space to allow you to connect with others, even if that's just a start. Because a lot of this stuff that I talk about, like, my situation is my situation. I know people watching me on here, they've got kids. There's all different circumstances out there, right? And some of you think, well, I can't just go out to Liverpool and go out and meet people, and I'm not getting taken out on dates and all of that. And really, what it all boils down to, when we boil down the whole message, what I'm saying is, the cost of doing things alone is this. And the cost of maybe opening your world up and allowing other people to come in, maybe this. And that was my experience this week of, this is what happened. I was in just a little bit, just small. And I've had this in other situations in community. Slow down, softness, connection, other people, trust. It's all right. Other people, it's okay. That was a beautiful episode. More to come. I'm going to Liverpool next week, so to be TBC. We'll start exploring this. Anyway, I think, healing isn't just about being stronger. I always talk about, I'm strong, we can do this, get on with it. Healing isn't just about becoming stronger. Sometimes healing is about, let's put the armour down. Put it down. Come join me. How are you? Like this connection. You don't always have to be strong. You don't always, allowing other people in. Being solo and being by yourself and that cost of doing things alone isn't always the best option. Sometimes we need to allow other people in, other people to connect with, and other people to help us. So yeah, that was a very, very nice episode. That was more in depth, I feel like. Ooh, oh my gosh, TBC. Anyway, guys, I've got a community coming out. The Goat Collective. It's being released. It's going to be a monthly subscription community, and I would love for you to connect. There's going to be a lot of stuff in there. I will release details on Instagram and TikTok, and I probably may do a short little post on here next week. And if you feel like that is something you might be interested in, keep an eye out. Drop me a message, drop me a DM. But yeah, welcome everyone to becoming the GOAT. See you next week. Love ya.